is, although I am going to show you the entire room in a second, I would like to discuss a few things that went into this extreme minimalist room makeover, but it's also a makeover of my closet or wardrobe idea. And what could be more minimalist than an invisible illusion of a wardrobe? Because living in a very tiny home, or aka micro apartment, one thing that has been real tricky, because we're also living in a loft, is our access to the top of the building where we are is very, very tiny. So we're very limited anyway for what furniture we could get. Now, obviously in the past I've been furniture free. I'm almost furniture free now. This week we got rid of the white desk. We got rid of the glass desk finally. They sold for a nominal amount, but they sold nonetheless. So, you know, a little bit of extra travel expenses paid for, a little bit of pocket money. So that's gone. The last thing we want to do is start filling up the space with more furniture, because this room in particular is about 3.5 meters by 3 meters, and then there's a weird part where it's only sort of 2 meters because of the door and the boiler cupboard and these spaces at either side of the chimney. So I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the best use of these chimney recesses, or what I call alcoves, without it feeling like it's overpowering the space. Because even though we could have got flat pack wardrobes up the stairs right when we first moved in, what I don't like is towering tall furniture, because I feel like it really does steal your space when you're living in a small home. And that's why I quite like to have as lower furniture as possible, so there's more horizontal space as well. That's a whole thing in Japanese furniture design and feng shui. That is the idea that I'm going with, keeping the most amount of space possible. Now, as we all know, I am having quite a bit of a flirtation with black at the moment. Here is my all black everyday wardrobe. There's about 10 pieces there, but we'll discuss that in another video. I do have a little bit more, but that is the stuff that I wear every day. Not to say that the stuff that is away in my other tub is stuff I hardly ever wear, but that is just the stuff that I wear most often. What I didn't want to do was also make the room look too small by it being all dark. But there was a huge part of me that had to resist the temptation of doing this entire wall black, because I kind of really wanted to. But with it being such a small room, and this wall itself being sort of 3 meters high by 3.5 meters across roughly, it would have really started to look dark in here. Now, luckily, I don't film that much in here, do I? I mainly film in the other room, but still, that's something that I have to think about with me making videos as well. Zala's just come in and rocked it, rocked the tripod. One thing that's great about having a small home, because we're always talking about the negative sides, but we'll talk about the positive sides, is if you try to do something that is a little bit like this, because as I've mentioned before, I am very interested in interior design. It's a passion. I grew up with it. Half of my family are either antiques dealers, furniture dealers, furniture designers, interior designers. Zala is still shaking you right at the side of the tripod while I'm doing this, sorry guys. So I've got a real love of all things interior, and I'm not gonna not do anything to do with that just because I'm a minimalist. What I do is I choose to use my space as a blank canvas. I've discussed in the past, like on the frugal home tour video, where I also discussed how I frugally thrift things in my home. I discussed how I consider my walls and my home a blank canvas, and then I occasionally use a piece of furniture as the piece of practical art that I get to enjoy, and even experimenting with the space frugally. So for instance, this painted wall cost me £4. It was £2 a tin for the paint, because I bought paint that was sort of getting to the end of its use by date, so it was sort of reduced in the store. And Lord forbid, if I decide that I am sick of it in, say, 6 months' time and I paint it back white, I will also look for some white paint that's nearly out of stock to turn it back. So it will have cost me nothing barely to change it back in 6 months' time. And I have a funny way of looking at this that perhaps many people who are very, very strict about what they do as minimalists is, because interior design is my hobby, passion, interest, I look at it like this. If a room transformation cost me around £50 in total, and let's just say, for argument's sake, I actually keep it for 5 months. So it's cost me £10 a month to have all this pleasure of doing it and then enjoying it. So that's £10 a month, which is a grand total of about £2 a week to enjoy my hobby. Whereas I think a lot of people nowadays, even on a very strict budget, if they factored in sort of a social or entertainment allowance each month, I think most people's might be around £50 or more. They might even spend that on one outing to have one meal or go to the cinemas or one game of bowling. And that is only going to last about an hour. But this, for £50, is going to last me 5 to 6 months, for instance. So it's something I enjoy. But I am going to discuss with you all, as we go around today, how much it did cost me. So the rails themselves, they were only £8. I say rails because at a later date I might actually move where I've got my partners and put it up there. So we've got all the clothing in one corner. I'm going to try it out both ways. And I'm about to show you something else. So we also got a rug. So let me cut back to a clip that I recorded a couple of days ago when I was putting the rug down. I bought an Amazon resale rug. Amazon resale usually just means somebody's bought it, they didn't like it, they send it back, and because it's not in the original packaging, instead of being something like £120, this was £30, which is about $40. So we're going to get it out for the first time and have a look at it together. It's a washable rug, which is the idea that they're thin, so they are lightweight, so you can easily put them in the washing machine, but they have sort of a rubber back so they don't slip around. With them being lightweight, they're usually prone to do. So it's actually lovely and soft. It feels like almost like a kind of velvet. I'm very glad that I haven't paid full price for it. I think if I'd have paid £120 for it, I'd be a bit disappointed. But the fact that I've only paid £30 seems quite good. It is so soft. Zal was just checking it out, as you could probably see there. I couldn't quite get it straight. Well, she likes it. Let me move you all down a little bit while I discuss this bit. So, before we put the black bedding on, to give it that final look, I think it looks good even with the grey bedding on, because at the end of the day, we have a grey cushion, we have a grey blind, we've got grey carpets, but the black really brings in the black accents more that I'm about to show you. So, I don't know how much some of you have been observant in the past, but we had some green cushion covers that we kept, obviously with the cushions inside, behind our sofa. The reason I didn't have them out all the time is I feel sometimes that scatter cushions actually look a bit messy, but there's no denying that sometimes on a night time we kind of like to have one behind our head in the other room. But because this whole area that I'm creating is like a movie nook for the summer, as you can see, the projector in the background, which we will tidy up in a second, we create this whole like movie area where we can lounge around and fully black out the windows because, well, although the projector is very powerful and it does work in daylight, it obviously looks even a clearer image in the darkness. So for the summer, that's probably what we'll do. So actually, the scatter cushions would look better in here. So I dyed the green black. They are a kind of faded black, but they've gone black nevertheless, and they've actually worked out quite well. So we're about to put those on the bed. They're a little bit damp still, so I might actually put them in for this video, but then leave them to dry. But so you get to see the finished result. And then do you all remember this? This was white, and it's taken 2 attempts to dye this black, but it has worked. And the good thing is it wasn't a waste of money, because I was already dyeing my jeans, because my jeans were looking very, very faded and they'd got a stain on them. They kind of just went in with them, and it's worked out great. So this has got black and charcoal grey on it. So we've got kind of all shades of grey as well as black and white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on, probably on a time lapse for you guys, or just clips, whatever. And then when I've done that, I'm going to show you all the finished result, like a full room tour. Okay, let's go. Oh, that's a good little baby. What do we think? What do we think to that? What do we think to that? What do we think to that? After spending quite some time stuffing all the cushions in there, I've decided we'll do something a little bit different for the transition of the bed. Are you ready? We have our movie nook, so now I just need to tidy this projector up, and then I'm going to give you all the whole tour and discuss how much this very frugal room transformation cost, because I like to change up my space even as a minimalist. And when I had the idea, because I decided to change most of my wardrobe black slowly, so you know nothing was wasted and all my clothes had already worn out, I had this idea that actually if it was against a black background, it would look very camouflaged and invisible. And obviously we had to have the all black bedding anyway for this little munchkin because of her black hair. And that's the same reason I've got all my wardrobe black, for people that keep asking, that it just stays easier. It just stays clean easier when you've got a black dog and you're constantly picking her up because she's little. So tidy this, give you the tour. Are you all ready? Entering, we have the washable rug that cost us a grand total of £30. We do have 2 black rails, but the other one isn't out yet whilst I decide whether I enjoy this kind of symmetry like this. So they were £8 each, so that is £16 plus 30 for the rug. That's £46. We got these were only £3, sort of £1 each, but they only came in a pack of 3, which is rather annoying. Otherwise I'd have probably just had one. But I think that candles are a great way of bringing in an accent to a room without it being a completely useless, unfunctional thing in the room. I have got all natural, paraffin free soy wax candles there, sustainable soy wax in them. So what are we at now? We're at £49. My partner's got all his stuff there, with the exception of a bit of loungewear and formal wear, which we keep away in our suitcases, which have now been stored behind the couch in the living room, behind the sofa. We have my invisible looking wardrobe. I have still got to tidy a little bit of the corner up where the skirting boards were not the easiest to cut in because they're very old. So we've got the skirting board to tidy up a bit, but other than that, that is what is happening with the wardrobe. Then I thrifted £1 there. And that I just painted with the paint I already had. I'm sure you all recognise it before, so that's included so far with the price of the paint, which was £4. So actually that's £53. And then the snake plant, that was £10. But to be honest, I was going to get a snake plant anyway because I have got rid of my Monstera. I decided to swap it because now we're going to be travelling more often. The Monstera was becoming too hard to maintain. So we were going to swap that anyway, so that one's not included in the price. So all in all, guys, this room transformation cost £53 because we already had the bedding, I already had the cushions, we were dyeing a pair of my jeans anyway, so that was kind of included. It's funny actually, because they look a kind of navy on camera, but I swear, in reality, they look more of a very, very dark charcoal grey. But when I'm looking through the camera, it always appears a bit more navy coloured. I'm not sure whether that is because of the white and the reflection and the white balance, or the fact that I've not white balanced it yet. We will see. But yeah, they're actually a bit more of a dark charcoal colour in reality. I've got my suitcase up there, sorry, my partner's suitcase is behind the sofa. So, and then we've got the charcoal grey and bamboo solar blind. But that is what it looks like. But I'm sure you would all agree, as much as I would love to have done that whole wall, which to be honest would have only probably been another tin of paint, so it wouldn't have cost much more, but I think it would have just made it too dark. So this is a way of having a nice sort of monochrome, black and white, minimalist home, and then I have this lovely illusion of this invisible wardrobe where you can basically barely see the clothes because they just sort of camouflage into the background. And we got this washable rug because the carpet was looking very worn out now. They're about 5 years old, and our carpet cleaner has currently gone for repair, and they said it's a month till we can have it back. So that's if they can even repair it. So in the meantime, we needed something to be able to protect the carpets and wash the carpets, just because, well, they get a lot of wear with Zala running around. So I hope you all enjoyed this kind of monochrome, minimalist, black and white room makeover, which, like I said, really I've done solely to bring in the black bedding more, because we have to have the black bedding. It just felt so strange because the whole room is white except for this black bedding. So I wanted to find just a cheap, frugal way to bring in these other colours, and an added bonus has been that when I've now got my minimal wardrobe out, it doesn't feel like busyness to me because it's sort of blending into the background, so I'm quite enjoying it. And I always say that one bonus to having the room this way around is we gain all this space, because when it's just a futon that we're sleeping on and we've not got like a big bed frame, it fits in that little nook at the side of the boiler cupboard, which we sadly cannot move. It's fixed in position. This is the payoff that we get to do this. So I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, if you haven't got a desk, what are you doing? That is to be revealed in an upcoming video. And next week, or if it doesn't happen this week, it'll be the week after, I'm planning another little series. It's only gonna be 7 days instead of a full 30. And they're gonna be very simple videos, because obviously if I'm doing them every day, they can't be like really, really lengthy edits. But you might enjoy it. It's just a little bit of fun. By no means take it seriously. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.